All right. Well, hi, folks. Thank you so much for coming to this session to learn more about Vancouver Island University. I hope that you are enjoying your event so far, bringing your questions. Again, my role really is to help support you in thinking more about your future goals, your future ambitions, and the community that you would like to be a part of. Of course, a university is not just about your future career, but it's also about finding a place where you've got a sense of belonging, you feel supported. You're going to have lots of different opportunities to connect with a local community that's going to help you, again, in your long term vision and goals. The thing that I like to tell students first and foremost about Vancouver Island, I believe what really sets us apart is not just the broader environment. We'll talk a little bit about how beautiful Vancouver Island is, what a great place it is to call home, but also your home in the classroom. Vancouver Island University has small class sizes. At some schools, you will be just one out of thousands. Your professor will not recognize you when you're walking around campus. You'll sort of be like a number to them. At Vancouver Island University, because our class sizes are no larger than 34, that is 34, I want to repeat that, 34 students, your professors not only know who you are, they care about who you are. They can take the time to learn about the support that you need. They can learn about your specific goals, and they're going to be able to connect you with former students as well. So that is super unique to Vancouver Island University. And when I follow up with students to ask them how they feel about that small class size, so many students get back to me and they say, for me, that was the difference. I never felt like I couldn't ask a question. I never felt like I couldn't get more support. So let me tell you a little bit more about Vancouver Island University. And over in the Q&A, you're going to find lots of links where you can explore our full range of programs. I would highly recommend, if you are on Instagram, following the World VIU Instagram account. And the reason that I say that is because that account is actually run by international students. They are interns in our business program. So everything that you see on that account is coming to you courtesy of international students like yourself. They will also be posting in that space ongoing ways that you can connect with them. So I think it's one thing for you to come to an event like this, ask me your questions. It's an entirely different thing for you to be able to hear from our current student population to get that student experience piece. So I would recommend, if you are on Instagram, follow that. Those are business and marketing students who are practicing their craft. But you'll also find a link to our calendar events space where you'll have more opportunities, of course, to connect with me. But actually, what I would really encourage you to do is check out the student office hours where you can drop in. You can ask any question to current international students to find out more about their experience, what they appreciate about Vancouver Island University, to ask them about the program that they're a part of. And you heard me talk about how crucial that small class experience has been. Ask them about that. Don't just take my word for it. All right. So Vancouver Island University really takes our commitment to our local community seriously. So we always get started with a land acknowledgement. The Vancouver Island University acknowledges and thanks the Snuneymuxw and Talman, whose traditional lands are teaching there, we're learning from, we're living and sharing knowledge. And that building that you see in that picture, that is a space where you can learn more about the Indigenous populations on Vancouver Island throughout the year. So first and foremost, I did see some of you in the Q&A saying you can't wait to learn more about Vancouver. And I do want to point out, sometimes this is a little bit tricky, Vancouver Island University is not in Vancouver City. It's actually just a short ferry or a very short plane ride away from it. But as you can see on the map, Vancouver Island University sits just above Washington States in the US. and it is just across from Vancouver City. Now, Vancouver Island University is actually located in a smaller city called Nanaimo. And the benefit of Vancouver Island University's location is Nanaimo is a small city, which means those of you who are here and you are thinking about looking for ways to get connected in the business community, we've got lots of small business partners in that city for you to connect with. You've also got lots of different restaurants, like any small city would have on tap, but you also have so many opportunities to really enjoy nature. So if you're someone who loves being outdoors, Vancouver Island is one of the best places on the planet to be because you can enjoy the outdoor lifestyle year round. If you love skiing, you can go skiing. If you love surfing, you can go surfing. If you love scuba, we've got amazing scuba. But if you just like hiking, some of the most fantastic hiking I have ever experienced has been on Vancouver Island, and I've lived in 8 different countries. So again, our very mild climate, it doesn't get too cold, it doesn't get too hot, means that you can always be decompressing, you can always be relaxing, taking time away from your studies by getting out for a walk. And the university is actually one of the few universities that from campus, you've got a view of the water. So students often say that having that access to nature has made a real difference for their mental well-being, also for their fitness. They feel like it's very easy to make sure that they can go for a walk or a run any time of the year. And I think those things really do matter when we're talking about you investing in your future. You also want to find a school where it's not just about studies, but it's also about your well-being. And again, just to give you a sense a little bit more of all of the different cultural connections that you can enjoy from Vancouver Island University, as I mentioned, surfing is a big part of it. If you like kayaking or canoeing, it's all right there on your doorstep. If you are interested in marine biology or whale watching, it's one of the best spaces to be. Also, if you're a big sports fan, you've got professional teams in Vancouver nearby, and VIU itself also has not only the university teams, but we've got lots of different activities. So if you like sports, but it's not your biggest passion and you just want to join a basketball team or you want to be a part of kind of a fun athletics community, we have that to offer as well. You can see our campus, as I said, you're surrounded by nature. I think this picture brings that to life for you. You've got these beautiful trees everywhere you look, and this gives you a sense of our campus. Vancouver Island University is not a gigantic campus. If you are looking for a very large school experience, that's not what we're about. What we are about is actually community, making sure that your professors know who you are and lots of students know who you are as well. So you can see the residence, it's not too far from where you would be studying. So if you are not a morning person and you're worried about how long your commute would be to get to your classes, it's just a short walk away. There's also a little campus bus that will take you around, but everything really you can access by walking. I think that's a big advantage. As I said, some of you might be here and you're looking for a gigantic campus. That's just not who we are, and I want to be honest with you about that. If, however, you really do want an environment where your professors will recognize you, it's not uncommon when you're in the cafeteria or when you're in that library that you'll see professors enjoying a cup of tea with a student. That's more of the vibe, that's more of the environment that's there. I also want to point out, you'll notice on the campus map that I'm showing here, there's an international building. And that is a destination that's specific for our international student population. We've got lots of fun events that are going there. So if you are, I'm a little bit shy. And if you're thinking, I'm joining a new school, I'm far away from home, I don't know anybody, how am I going to find community? How am I going to make connections? The international building is really the answer to that. There's ongoing events, everything from cooking classes to more kind of fun events. Again, you can learn more about them by following our Instagram account. That's where you're going to find them. It's also the space where there's ongoing support. So if you are looking to learn more about how can I find part-time work, there's ongoing sessions there. If you're looking to learn more about Canada, Canada's government, we've got ongoing sessions there. If you need some language support, it's also located there. So what I really want to just remind you is that Vancouver Island University cares so much about the international students that we really do try to make sure they have a central location where they can get the support they need, and they can also be connecting with other international school students. As I mentioned to you before, we're not a huge campus. We're 12,000 students. I think that's a decent size because, of course, 12,000 is not tiny. But as I mentioned, no more than 34 students within each class. 1,400 is the number of international students representing 89 different countries. So if you are looking for an intercultural experience, again, when you are looking at the future world of work and doing research and finding what is it that future employees really want, often they will talk about wanting future employees who know how to work with folks from all around the world. Vancouver Island University is going to give you that experience because we also have folks from all around the world. So again, if you're thinking, I want to come to VIU and I don't just want to improve one language, but I'd love to become multilingual. I'd like to be able to speak 3, maybe 4 languages. It's not uncommon for us to see our international students connecting with one another and helping one another actually learn multiple languages, get slang from all around the world, and really build up that intercultural awareness to understand what the traditions are in various countries, and also to have conversations about what it's like to work there, what it's like to be in a business meeting, to better understand the cultural norms. And that's huge. So why Vancouver Island University? Again, we know this is a huge decision, right? When you're looking for a university, you're not just looking for your distant future, but you're also looking for a place and a space that when you are there, you're enjoying it. So our unique points, we've got staff who are supporting international students. It's their job just to support you. We've got an English language center and support. And what do our students tell us? What do they appreciate about life on Vancouver Island University? Well, that mild weather piece, I know I said that before, but I think it's really worth repeating. I've lived in various places, and I've lived in cities, and I've lived in countries where the weather can really slow me down. I am actually currently located right now in Ottawa. We've got tons of snow. Now, what does that mean for me? It does mean I'm probably not taking the long walks that I take when the weather's a little bit better. But when I am out on Vancouver Island University, the weather never stops me. I can go out for a long walk every single day of the year. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. And the difference that makes for my mental well-being and for my health is huge. We do have a really engaged business community there. I would say that our business programs and our MBA are extremely popular with the international student population. And I think that's because you're also, not only, I know I keep talking about the benefits of nature, but you're also in a small city where you're going to be able to learn and make lots of connections with a business community. Safety is also huge. I know that when you're leaving your country and you're looking at a whole new home, you do want to make sure that you're in a place that's safe. So Nanaimo is a city, and yes, all cities, you've got to be thinking about your safety, but Nanaimo is a safe city to be. We do, of course, have lots of different parameters on campus, so that's a concern, and it's one that I would say wherever you're looking at going, learn more about that. We also have a great blend of natural attractions. As I mentioned, kayaking, canoeing, getting out in nature are huge. And sometimes you might be living in a place where it's got a great outdoor lifestyle, but it doesn't have much to do in terms of restaurants or nightlife. VIU actually does have both. The affordable cost of living piece. So, this is where one of the most common questions I get asked all the time is, can you tell me more about scholarships? We do not have scholarships on offer right now. And while I know that can be very disappointing, what we do have in exchange is an affordable cost of living. Lastly, this is an environment that is extremely friendly and multicultural. So I saw there was a question over there about where is the biggest country of origin for the international student population? We actually don't have one. We have so many different countries that are represented that you're not coming to a space where you have kind of a dominant nationality from the international community. And I think that's really key because it does really add to the multicultural environment. So we have students that come to us, again, from 89 different countries. And that means that you've got a school population where international students are respected. There isn't this idea of, oh, that's different. VIU is actually a huge, big believer in we appreciate and we respect folks from all around the world. And that's the environment that you are entering into at VIU. So again, please do keep those questions coming. I'm going to do my best to make sure that I get to all of them. And if you feel like, oh goodness, there was a question that I had that I didn't get to ask now, I'd love to ask it later on. Again, you've got lots of links over there that from each of those links, you'll be able to find out more ways not only to connect your questions with me, but with the admissions team at VIU and with current students at VIU. So please know that if all of your questions don't get answered now, or you find yourself hours from now wanting to ask a question, we are, of course, always going to be looking to support any questions that you have. We do have undergraduate programs. We've got graduate programs. We also take in transfers from other universities. And if you are worried about your English not being strong enough for the university level, we also do offer ESL support. If you are worried about your high school transcripts not being strong enough, we also offer a university foundation year. So this is something that folks tell us they really appreciate because it's actually a year that sets them up to really have a successful university experience. So again, you heard me talk a little bit about how inclusive Vancouver Island University is. And this is another example of it. We want our students to succeed. We want students who maybe did not necessarily have the best high school experience to still have access to university. So our general undergraduate programs, again, admissions questions, each program has specific requirements. So that's where heading to international.viu.ca, you'll be able to explore all of our programs. That link is already over there in the Q&A. When you are looking at your programs, that's when you're going to find the specific timeline, and that's where you're going to find the more specific admission requirements. It is, again, program specific. So a big question that I often get is, what are the admissions requirements for this program or that program? And I can't give you a one size fits all for all. It's different for each. But yes, you'll need to have your high school transcript. If it is not in English, you'll need to have that document translated. So that's the one that we usually bring up to students first and foremost. I'm sure you're hearing other schools also talk about that. And the reason that we put that first and foremost is because it can take some time to get your hands on that transcript and to get it translated. So we do have English language requirements, as you can see here, but I also do want to preface all of this by saying we have an admissions team that will support you with these specific questions. So please know that after a session like this, you'll be able to get even more support. So what are our programs? We've got arts, humanities, and social studies, tourism, recreation, and hospitality. Our culinary program is incredibly popular. Education, science and technology. As I mentioned, our business and management programs are some of our most popular. And I love this question that's come in. If you do an undergrad program at VIU, is it easier to get into a grad program also at VIU? So my answer to that really great question is, to a certain extent, yes. And I would say that because if you are, for example, already an undergrad business student, you're getting your bachelor's in business management or your bachelor's in marketing at VIU, you are going to have an opportunity to connect with that department, with all of those professors, to go to all of the different events and activities and to join the specific clubs. Again, clubs and activities is huge at Vancouver Island University. We have such a gigantic list. It would take me over an hour to read that list out to you. You'd be able to really integrate into the business program to make connections with the folks who are teaching at the graduate level and to learn more about what is it that they're looking for in a graduate student. So it is actually, I hear from students all the time. They came to us, they started with a bachelor's, and again, they continued right into the graduate program. So that's a really great question. And I would say, I believe it makes it easier simply because you're able to integrate into the community. And because of those small class sizes, you'll be able to get to know who's the head of that department. You'll probably be able to go to an event where you can sit down, have a cup of tea with that person, chat with them more, and really learn firsthand about what's offered in our graduate programs, why is it right for you, and also, as I mentioned, every one of these programs also has lots of different activities where you can continue to make those connections and really take advantage of the VIU community experience. So while I could go through and I could list what all of the different offerings are for our program, what I'd rather do is actually really underscore the importance of checking out international.viu.ca, because I think sometimes when you see all these programs, it's almost overwhelming. Instead, if I take you over to the website, this is where, again, whenever I am having kind of a one-to-one conversation with a student, often what I'll do is I'll say, let me tour you through the website a little bit, just so that not only can you learn more about the program, but I also want to reiterate again how crucial it is that you understand the ongoing informational sessions that are available. So this is international.viu.ca. That link is for you. That's there for you over in the Q&A as well. And all of these photos, again, give you, I think, a little bit of a sense, what's the environment like? And this photo here, what I love telling people is sometimes when you go to a school website, the folks who are in the images, it's been kind of staged. This wasn't a staged moment. This is really what you would see in the International Building on any given day. So if you were here from the beginning of the presentation, you would have seen the map. And I pointed out that we do have a building that is just for international students. This is that first room that you would walk into. So there are always students who are just there, who are connecting, who are maybe forming a study group, who are asking one another information about their programs. You can see over there on the right-hand side of that image, you've got one of our specific international education assistants also answering questions. So you're able to get support all the time. And this is another great question in the Q&A. Somebody asked, if there's a club that you want, but it's not offered, can you make that club? Yes, you can. And often the origin story, or how those clubs get started, is in the building that you're looking at right now, where students are coming together and they're having a discussion about what it is that they want their experience to be like. So I have a specific example of that. There were a group of students who were really interested in learning how to um, basically how to repair cars. They had never worked on a car before, and they did not necessarily want to always have to pay a lot of money to do car repairs. And they said, what if we get a few people together and we turn this into a club where we're going to learn just the basics of car care, and we're going to help other people know, how do you do some of those basic things? That club eventually evolved. It still exists. It was started a few years ago. That club evolved into learning more about older cars. How do you repair older cars? So again, if there's a club that you really want and it doesn't exist, yep, all you need to do probably is just start a conversation with somebody. So it is really, as I said, an inclusive community. As I mentioned, I think it's really important. It's not just about learning about the programs. It's not just about the degrees, the certificates. It's also about the life that you want to have. What do you want your day-to-day life to be like as a university student or as a graduate student? So on the website, you would be able to click there, learn more about VIU. If you do want to search, and as I mentioned, admissions requirements, it depends on the program. So if you want to explore our extensive list of undergraduate programs, you'd click that button. You want to learn more about the graduate programs or the English language programs, that's there for you. All of the admissions information is there, the tuition. So I also see somebody in the Q&A asking, what's the minimum tuition fee? That's, again, not a one-size-fits-all answer. Each program has a different cost calculator. So that's why, again, international.viu.ca, depending on the program of interest, that answer is going to be specific to you. And again, lots more resources here. If you want to check out more information about the local culture, what our student services, and again, somebody's asking, how is the admissions process? Those admissions requirements, all of that information is right there. Again, depending on the program that you have of interest, you can join me later on at the booth. I believe that link is going to be in the Q&A too. We can chat in the booth after this session about the specific program that you want to study. You can also, I'll show you in just a moment here, how you can connect. Actually, sorry, it's right here. You can also book an appointment right from international.viu.ca. So it might be that you're not able to join me at the booth. You might be going to another presentation after this. And if you want to book an appointment for next week, again, international.viu.ca, you would be able to do that. The other thing that you'll notice is we've got lots of student stories. So you heard me talk a little bit about the student perspective. You heard me talk about our Instagram account and how that is run by current international school business and marketing students. You can connect with them there. You also heard me talk about our monthly event calendar, where you can have a drop-in and you can connect with students and you can ask them whatever questions you have about their experience. You're also able, from international.viu.ca, to see some of those student stories for yourself right here. And I do really want to repeat myself that it's one thing for you to talk to me. It's one thing for you to talk to someone from our admissions team about Vancouver Island University. But I would really stress, please connect with our students. They love talking to other international school students about how they found the admissions process. I often tell prospective students like you that it's a supported process. We do have an application fee of 150 Canadian dollars. And sometimes people will ask, wait, why is there an application fee? Part of the reason that there's an application fee is that Vancouver Island University is very serious about getting back to students as quickly as possible. There are some schools that will have you wait months and months and months before you find out, was I admitted? Vancouver Island University is going to get back to you in a matter of weeks. They will get back to you if you've got a question about that application immediately. We are incredibly responsive, and I think that really matters. So as I mentioned again, lots of different events. The World VIU student office hours that you see, that's the one where, again, there's a morning session or an afternoon session. That's in Pacific Standard Time, PST. But I'd really encourage you to try and connect with one of those. So again, a few folks asking, are there scholarships for, different exceptions? And again, as I mentioned earlier, maybe you missed it, we currently are not offering any scholarships, but what we do offer is an affordable lifestyle in a small city in a great environment. Now, I would say when you come to one of those student sessions, ask them a little bit more about that. Ask them about how they are finding budgeting. Ask them about how they are finding, you've heard me, you can say, I heard this woman talk again and again about how great it is to live in a mild climate where I've got access to nature and I have access to some of the great benefits of living in a city. Is that the truth? Please, anything that you've heard me say, go ask our students. And they will tell you more about life in Nanaimo. When I showed you that map, I showed you our dorm. Not every student wants to live in the dorm. Some actually would prefer to find a home in Nanaimo, the host city. So there's a blog post where you can read more about that. Come to that student session, ask them, hey, did you decide that you want to live on campus or off campus? How did that impact your experience at VIU? So all of our events and activities, and again, on Instagram, everything that you see here has been created from our incredible international student marketing and business students. So that question about, are there residences at VIU? Yes, they are. And I would say what's great is the walk from the student housing, the student residences, to some of your buildings. You're not going to have to get up super early. You can make it to a lot of the buildings. You can actually make it to that specific international building that you've heard me talk about. That's just a 5-minute walk, and that's not a fast walk. That's a slow walk. So I do think that that can be very handy. So if you are on Instagram and you're not following World VIU, I'd suggest you do, because as you see, you've got a lot of student stories here, and you're also able to connect, again, in the time that works for you. So if when you saw me show those student events, those Q&A sessions, and you're thinking, oh, that time does not work for me, I just kind of want to get a little bit of a flavor for what student stories, what the student experience is, this is a great thing, I think, to have a quick look at. And then lastly, I would really love, please do follow up with me. You want to talk a little bit further, you can contact me through this contact page. Again, that's available there. So the link to my booth is there. I'm about to head over to the booth in a little bit. And I hope that we continue to chat. If you have a more of an admission specific question, write from international.viu.ca. Again, that link, if you're just joining us, that link is over there in the Q&A section. You got access to connect with an admissions officer. So the website, I find, has real power in keeping you connected, not just to our community, but to helping you learn more about our current students, our admissions team, and getting a sense of, okay, what's my timeline? What are all the different programs? Because we often have students who will write to us and say, I know that this is the bachelor's program that I'm interested in. And what's great is, we'll have a conversation and we might explore some alternative options. We really will work with you to make sure that you're considering all of the options and finding the future that you really want. So again, thank you so much for coming to this session. We do have some questions over there that I don't think that I got to answer yet, but that's where, hey, I'm going to be right in that booth. I am also going to leave my email address. You can contact me directly after this. So if you're going to another session, again, I'd encourage you to make the most of this event, hear from as many different schools as possible. And then when you want to talk a little bit more about Vancouver Island University, again, you can find my email address is tricia.friedman@viu.ca. Send me an email. We can set up a phone call if you'd like. I can just answer your questions through email. Or if you want to pop on a Zoom meeting, we can do that too. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your Study in Canada virtual fair. And I really hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for your time today.